Yesterday's show and segments, we discussed how people lead with their emotions from a political standpoint, which is also the most dangerous thing that you could possibly do. And for whatever reason, people unfortunately believe that government and the state has the capacity to disregard economic law. Now, being economically illiterate is a thing that a lot of people are. And unfortunately, a lot of them wield the power to tax and regulate and spend money that, of course, isn't theirs. But nonetheless, they have power. And it's generally leading with all sorts of promises, catchphrases, slogans that sound very, very well. But in practice, they are, again, economically illiterate. Yet again, we're in this instance where people are so short-sighted, and I would still say you're short-sighted, but you didn't even have to be looking at the long term to understand that this was going to happen. You didn't, because we're only a year after the fact, and some change. Stimulus comes out. Yesterday, March. I did a video, I believe it's on the 24th of March, if I'm not mistaken, talking specifically about this was going to happen. And that is, you combination, guys, perfect storm. People were sitting on their ass, albeit because of the government in a lot of cases, or if not all. But people were sitting on their ass. So you had a lower amount of general economic activity and production within your economy. The dipsticks that you guys vote for and support came up with this plan to print almost $2 trillion. I mean, I believe at first it was 1.8, and then the Democrats countered with like a $2.5 trillion initial stimulus. So you're talking about printing money out of thin air, right? And for those of you that don't understand how this works, the Federal Reserve in combination with the Treasury allows them to do that, and they're monetizing their debt. So they get to spend money that they don't have. So what they do with that money, it's either stolen from the people that actually are working or future generations, because the money for the most part isn't there. So you had low economic activity coming to almost a near screeching halt, millions upon millions of people out of work. And you thought it was a good idea to add, or rather increase, the money supply. So what happened is and not only did you do it once, you did it multiple times. So you had like 2 or 3 stimuli, and you kept doing it. And I won't even go as far as to just blame a specific party, because a lot of you guys that support Republicans were on the same thing. And it includes your beloved Trump signing off on it. No matter how much pork it was in it, it didn't matter. That was still an issue. The solution was always the same. You don't increase the money supply. You don't tax more. You don't spend more. You just get the state out of the way and let people assume whatever risk they want to assume and get back to work. But that's not what you did. So now we're here, not even a year after the fact, because in that short period of time, within a span of a year, so much went to crap. And the way that this was handled was about as bad as it possibly could have been. Consumer prices see largest yearly jump since 2008 as evidence of inflation mounts. See, this is why some people say, if you're in libertarian circles, you know that this, we've long been saying this, inflation is theft as well. So what happens is it's not just you being stolen from directly if you're a current worker. This is why salaried workers get screwed the most out of this. Because what ends up happening is that dollar just simply does not stretch as far as it once did. So you're making, though you may be making the same thing, say if you're on salary for $50,000, that $50,000 doesn't get what $50,000 got before. Why? Because the price of virtually everything, and as this talks about with the consumer prices, went up. Food costs go up. Steel, we've seen that. Lumber, all of this has just increased to a ridiculous amount. So effectively, you're making less than what you were making before. So this is why a lot of people say that inflation is theft as well, because that's exactly what it is. But these are things that the dipsticks in Washington simply do not consider. They don't even care to take it into consideration. And the people, obviously, that vote for them are too stupid to even understand the economic consequences of this. So as the prices go up, they sit here and like, what's going on? You got people that work for CNBC, people that work for the government. They make all of these projections as far as the jobs numbers. The jobs numbers aren't in anywhere near the realm of what they thought they were going to be, severely low. I don't know. Maybe it's because you paid people to sit on their ass. It's not that I could have told you that. I did tell you that. Go look at the receipts back in March. But it's not like I'm some sort of clairvoyant or it takes some big time education in order to understand that all you need is a surface level understanding of money and basic economics. And you could have saw that coming. But this is what happens when you get people that unfortunately lead with their emotions. And they think that their emotions are a substitute for economic reality and economic law. And they think that just because they work for the government, or they claim to care about their fellow man, and I just want to take care of all the poor people. I want to take care of all the children. I want to take care of all the elderly. And they don't seem to understand the economic consequences of what it is that they advocate. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room to understand this. You just can't be a dumbass. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people that present themselves as smart people, but they're very fucking stupid. And unfortunately, a lot of them get to vote. Now, this is a problem of basically everything. The problem of the state, problem of the government, problem of Keynesianism, problem with Fayette, problem with taxing, spending, monetizing your debt, problem with the Federal Reserve. It's a problem across the board that is amplified, that has been rather amplified within this past year and some change because of the emotions surrounding, well, of course, the virus. You do not have to be the smartest person to understand this, but you have to remove your emotions from the equation, which for a lot of people, unfortunately, it is near impossible for them to do that. Think about it, guys. Folks, and this was the point that I made in the videos back in March. Folks think that you could just print upward of $2 trillion multiple times over the span of the year, or rather just that's how much you're spending that you weren't even accounting for the most part. And they thought that there would be no consequence to it. And they went and did it. And if you were in opposition to it, you, of course, didn't care about poor people and all sorts of other dumb shit that they threw out there. Or you want people to die, all sorts of things. No, I'm just considering the economic reality in combination with your severe overreaction to this virus anyway. But I also understand that your emotions, all of that stuff that you talk, gaslight, all of that doesn't mean anything because the economic reality is going to hit. Sometimes it's sooner than later when that bubble bursts. So you wanted something for nothing, and this is what you got. This is what you got. I mean, you just needed to not be a brainlet to understand that why on earth would you increase the money supply as such? Definitely during a time when you have the least amount of economic activity. Why would you think that was a good idea? Because you're fucking stupid. And this is why I don't mince for words when talking about these people. It's just because they are ill-informed, which they are, it doesn't mean that we should coddle sort of their feelings. No, because this stuff destroys people's livelihoods, right? When I talk about people dipping in their savings and stuff, or when I talk about people not making as much money as they once were making, and it wasn't for anything in their control, it's just the money's so screwed up because of actions like this, because of emotional brainless that either vote for people that are in office to do that emotional bullcrap, or again, they're just in office already and they're doing that emotional bullcrap. And they think that, okay, I can negate the economic reality. You cannot. Economic law will still be a thing just because you think that you can negate it. And sometimes you can for a short period of time, but the bubble's always got to burst, bro. This is not sustainable. It's not. So I believe, definitely if you're in the same space as me, you shouldn't mince for words for these people because they're ruining people's lives. And yeah, it's in the name of humanitarian fraud efforts, right? Everything that gets passed always is. We want to help people. We want to save people. Every dictator, every violent regime came about doing that exact thing, man. I don't care what your intentions claim to be. It doesn't mean that your actions don't have consequences, man. So here we are. Something that was avoidable, something that was easily predictable happens. And the experts look around like, oh, what's going on? Why are the prices of everything going up? Why does my money not stretch as much? I thought this was all good. It's not all good. And this is the problem with, as I mentioned earlier, everything it is that I mentioned in terms of what's surrounding this, be it the state, the Federal Reserve, it's all a problem. And until y'all are ready to talk about and have a serious discussion about decentralization, it'll continue to be a problem. It's an uncomfortable conversation for you guys to have because a lot of folks have been raised in this era, including me, of course, where there's nothing that the state can not be in, right? So this idea of breaking up, be it the Fed, be it the Federal Reserve or the federal government for that matter, it just can't happen. It's just China. It just can't happen. Do y'all not understand the direction that this country is going right now? You're ensuring conflict. Now, I'm not a black pillar. I do believe that the ship can rather be turned around, but it's going to be up to the individuals within this geographical area to want it. Stop leading with your emotions and accept the reality for what it actually is. Not for what you want it to be, for what it actually is. These are economically illiterate people who think that they can centrally plan on behalf of 300-something plus millions of people. And what you are seeing is the result of that. You've long been seeing the result of it, but you especially saw how accelerated it is over the past year because these emotional brainless have all of this power to tax and spend and regulate. That is a fundamental problem that needs to get addressed. Until it gets addressed, y'all are going to keep arguing in circles. The solution is not to try to get someone in there to use the power to do what you think is righteous or just. It's to rid these assholes of the power it is that they have so that they aren't ruining the lives of so many people. Strip them of it. That's an uncomfortable conversation for a lot of y'all because y'all believe in the state and you believe in the government because you think that it's there to save you and bail you out and do all of these good things. And we just need the right people. No. It's doing exactly what it's rather designed to do if you want to get to the nitty gritty. But unfortunately, there are a lot of stupid people that will think that they can negate the economic reality. And generally, they're going to suffer the least from it. Those people that are calling the shots will suffer the least from it. They can just vote themselves into a raise. The people, like I said, for this example, when it comes to the devaluing of your money and your money not stretching as much, you can't demand a raise. That 50 grand that you were making is still 50 grand. It's just not stretching as long as that 50 grand went a year ago. That's all. This is a fundamental issue that has to get addressed. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.